President Trump went on a Twitter bender to start the new year. He fired off 16 tweets today, none getting more attention than a posting late tonight in which he taunts North Korea.
Yeah, President Trump makes a nuclear missile threat in that tweet and appeared to boast that he is more masculine than Kim Jong-un.
KCAL 9 political reporter Dave Bryan joins us now with a look at the president's posts and reaction that's coming in really from around the world on this.
It's true, so you thought maybe the president in 2018 maybe back away a little bit from Twitter. No, I don't think so. Even for President Trump, this was a remarkably busy day on Twitter. He attacked his own Justice Department, demanded a political opponent be jailed, threatened to cut off aid to an ally in the war on terror, and then the big one tonight, where he warned North Korea he has a nuclear missile launch button on his desk and he won't hesitate to use it. Starting off the new year, much as he conducted himself during the past year, President Trump fired off a tweet storm of messages aimed at foreign adversaries, as he sees them, including Pakistan, the Palestinian Authority, Iran, and North Korea. In a tweet with thinly veiled sexual connotations, President Trump declared that his nuclear button is bigger than Kim Jong-un's nuclear button. He wrote, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un just stated that the nuclear button is on his desk at all times. Will someone from his depleted and food-starved regime please inform him that I too have a nuclear button, but it is a much bigger and more powerful one than his, and my button works. The president's tweet came in response to Kim's New Year's Day speech, in which he suggested negotiations with South Korea and issued a menacing challenge to the U.S.
The entire United States is within range of our nuclear weapons, and a nuclear button is always on my desk. This is reality, not a threat.
That inspired this tweet from President Trump, in which he ridiculed Kim with a derogatory nickname. Rocket Man now wants to talk to South Korea for the first time. Perhaps that is good news, perhaps not. We will see. But America's UN ambassador said the nukes are the problem.
We won't take any of the talk seriously if they don't do something to ban all nuclear weapons in North Korea. We consider this to be a very reckless regime. We don't think we need a Band-Aid, and we don't think we need to smile and take a picture.
But it was President Trump's tweet tonight focusing on whose nuclear button is bigger that brought this reaction from Connecticut Democratic Congressman Jim Himes Tuesday night.
It really doesn't matter what the President of the United States says anymore, because it is so bizarre, strange, not true, infantile, and we've just never lived in a country where what the President of the United States says doesn't really matter.
The president also tweeted about the street riots in Iran, riots that included an attack on a police station by some of the protesters. Video from activist protesters contained shots of wounded demonstrators. In Tehran, some protesters screamed death to the dictator, and jeering crowds vandalized pictures of Iran's supreme religious leader. An LA Times reporter based in Tehran described the mood in the Iranian capital in an interview with CNN.
In Tehran, it's tense and unpredictable. We are still don't know what will happen in coming days, but we have to wait until Friday when the Friday prayers, congregational Friday prayer, is staged actually in Tehran University campuses, and then we can see it will fizzle out or spread.
The president tweeted, the people of Iran are finally acting against the brutal and corrupt Iranian regime. All of the money that President Obama so foolishly gave them went into terrorism and into their pockets. The people have little food, big inflation, and no human rights. The U.S. is watching. Now back to North Korea again for a moment. The president's critics are attacking him tonight for making threats to use nuclear missiles, questioning his judgment, maturity, and fitness. Many national security experts warn hundreds of thousands of people would die in a conventional war on the Korean Peninsula. If nukes were used, that number would rise to millions. Jeff? Lena?
Certainly so. Yes, Dave. So we understand there is some news tonight regarding the Korean Peninsula. Do you have that?
Yeah, there is definitely some news. Things are going on even at this hour. In just the last few minutes, South Korea said North Korea will resume cross-border communications. This is another sign that these two countries are trying to lower the temperature. Jeff, Lena?